Okay, so we started with germination last class, and we talked about seed germination, that it's simply a process where seed begins to grow, and in a matter of time, they develop into a young plant. And heavy seed germination requires or needs some conditions to be met, like water, oxygen, suitable temperature, and all. But then we talked about two types of germination, and that is where we continue to this class: the hypogea germination and the epigea germination. Let me try and look for a diagram under that so we can work with it. I think I gave the diagram last episode. So let's work with this diagram. So looking at this diagram, looking at this diagram, looking at the first diagram there, the hypogea germination, you can see a step-by-step process from the number 1 to the number 5 to the 5th process. How seed germination occurs, especially an hypogea germination. Here they were using P as an example, PEA. Can you see it? Now look at it using the diagram to explain. The first step, the stage 1, talks about the seed in the soil. That's ground layer. Are you with me? Is the underground layer, the soil level, and everything above that ground layer is the upper level, the air level. So looking at the first stage here, that is the seed in soil. And at this stage, what happens is that the seed will absorb water. We call it imbibition. In case they ask what is imbibition, it is a process where the seed began to absorb water from the soil, and then it will begin to swell. That is the first stage that occurs here. It simply means that the first thing that the seed needs to go through is that it will be put inside the soil, and metabolism will begin inside the seed as the seed began to absorb water from the soil. Is that taken? So the stage 2 talks about the radical emerges. The radical emerges is the stage 2, as you can see here. So as radical emerges, what it simply means is that the radical will go downwards, and as it is going downwards, looking at that stage 2 there, it will develop into the primary root that the seed will eventually use as its own root, that will give it this stamina and firmness to the soil. So that is also the second stage. And looking at this third stage, we call it the epicotic growth. The epicotic growth simply means the epicoty elongates upward. This guy here to be going upward as the radical is going downwards. This guy here will be going upwards. So that's what happens in this third stage. And looking at the fourth stage here, there will be an emergence of shoot. The shoot will emerge. The epicoty that we call the epicot here, that was coming out, it will break through the soil, and you will see it like, oh, the seed is going already, and it is turning into plant. Oh, so that is what happened at the fourth stage there. So before you know it, you began to see, I think that is the first leaves initiation to begin to show at the upper surface. And the stage 5 is the young plant. You will see the seed forming a plant already. So that is what happened at the apogee germination. And if you look at the epigee germination also, it is somewhat the same thing, but there are key differences between the apogee germination and the epigee germination. For example, if you look at the apogee germination, you see that the cotyledons, they stay underground out. And if you look at the apogee, the epigee germination, you see that the cotyledon came upward. Only the root stays downward. That is just a major difference. The same process. For example, the first process in the first stage, in the stage one, is that the seed will absorb water. Same thing applicable to apogee germination and the epigee germination. The second stage is also the emergence of the radicle. The radicle will emerge and it will also go downward, which will also form the root. Same thing as the apogee. The apoptotic emergence also, it will begin to show later, which is the stage 4. The cotyledons will appear above the ground level. They will not stay on the ground. So the major difference between the epigee germination and the apogee germination is that for the apogee germination, the cotyledon will remain downward. But for the epigee germination, both the epicot, the cotyledon, everything, the first leaves, they will be upward. I hope that is taken. So, in case they ask you, the radicle there is the first part of the embryo that will emerge during germination. In case they ask you, what is the first part of the embryo of the seed that emerge during germination? It is the radicle. This is that taken. And it is this radicle that develops into the primary root. In case they ask you, what develops into the primary root? It is the radicle. And it is the first part of the embryo that will emerge during germination. I hope that is taken. Are you guys with me? All right. So the second thing that you should take note is the hypoport. The hypoport is the region of the embryo between the radicle and the cotyledon phase. That is the hypoport, in case they ask you. And what the hypoport does is that it helps to push the shoot upward. You can see the epicot will just move upward. That is the function. And the epicot is a part of the embryo above the cotyledon. For the hypogee germination, you will see that it's epicot that will shoot upward, not the cotyledon. But for the epigee germination, both the epicot and the cotyledon, they will shoot upward. So that's just the difference between apogee and epigee. So in apogee germination, everything remain underground, like the cotyledon remain underground. Sorry, but for epigee germination, the cotyledon will move above the ground. That is that one. That. So let me give you a note in case you want to forget. Anytime you hear the word hypo means below, and if you hear epi means above. So the cotyledon below the soil and the cotyledon for germination, epitome above the soil. So let me look for a note I can give you so that you can write something down. I think there's no much notes. Almost everything here has been explained. But let me give you the comparison between these pictures. So write down the sorry for that. It's two way to jot. It's way to jot this down. Um, I think I've explained. You should be able to jot it down yourself, I believe. But then can quickly jot that down so that we can move to the nervous system. I'm missing you guys already. I'm missing your head. You guys just do well. We have less than 5 days to give it all your all. Your exam is on Saturday, right? Thank you. Is it on Saturday?
No, I think it's starting on the 16th of next month.
It's on 16th of next month, I mean.
Yes.
Okay. You still have time to prepare now.
Yeah, we have extra 1 week.
Actually, start on Thursday. Which Thursday? Is it this week Thursday or next week Thursday?
16th of next month. That day is Thursday.
Next month. We are entering a new month tomorrow now. On Wednesday. Oh, I'm not getting you.
The exam is starting on 16th of next month. It's on Thursday, on a Thursday.
Okay. You still have a lot of time to prepare. So quickly write this down. Still have almost 2 weeks left. So once you stop the class, do well to revisit everything you have been taught. I will try and finish the nervous system today, if time permits us. So next class, I will try and check the two important topics I've not teach you guys. Maybe cell division and genetics. I think these are the two left topics that I will need to teach you guys. So every other thing, you can
Sir,
check the
please
video.
organize an extra class for us now.
Extra class. What to do in the extra class?
Like on a topic that we have not done, maybe next week, even if it's a day.
Okay, I will talk to Mr. Luther.
Thank you.
All right, welcome. Hi guys, all right. So let's proceed, please. What's about time? Let's quickly move to coordination and control. Coordination and control. So under this, we're talking about the systems of coordination, which is the nervous system, and the endocrine system, that is the hormonal system. So anytime you hear the word coordination and control, you should believe, I believe that you should know what this topic entails. I want to talk about coordination. I want to talk about control. As a living organism, there is a need for a working relationship among different organs, among different cells, among different tissues in the body. Without this coordination, many things will malfunction, many things will not function well appropriately. So there's a system that is built to make sure that coordination is taking place. That is making sure that there is a control in a living organisms. So coordination is just the ability of living organisms to be able to bring about an harmonious, a cooperative relationship among different cell, tissue, organ system of the body. So what coordination does is that it ensures what we call efficient functioning and survival. What is it? What is the gift? Hello, gift. What is it? Oh, try continue. You don't need the definition. I'm just explaining now. The definition is that coordination just talks about how living organisms can have an effective functioning and harmonious working relationship from the cell level to the organ level to the tissue level to the system level and all, in order to maintain stability, in order to regulate different body activities, in order to ensure that things are working effectively. So the main purpose of coordinations is to ensure an efficient functioning environment, an efficient functioning system for the body. For example, you can be hungry. How do you know you are hungry? So we have some systems that make you to understand that, oh, you need to take water. If you step on a sharp object, there's a way you cry, you shout. Those things, they are all under coordination and control. So that is coordination. So we have systems of coordination. We have systems of coordination in animals. That is where we have the nervous system, and the endocrine system. These are the systems that ensure coordination and control. The nervous system, and we can also call it the hormonal system. So let's take it one after the other. Please, I want you to pay attention. And if I'm explaining, I will try to cite examples. What is that? Okay. I will try to cite examples so that you can understand it forward. But in case I'm explaining and you're not getting it, please quickly call my attention to it so that I will not be assuming you are getting it while you are not. So let's start with the nervous system. That's the first thing. So the nervous system, I will try and explain. Listen to me. I will explain for like 10-15 minutes before I give you notes. Explanation is key to understand it. So do not jot anything. You can jot, but make sure you are getting or you are listening to me. Is that okay? So when we talk about nervous system from the word system, it is just like a complex thing that is made up of simple things. The nervous system are made up of specialized cells. We call them neurons that helps to transmit impulses throughout the body. So what that simply means is that the nervous system is like the communication and the control network of the body. So anytime you are doing something, every second of every minute, there are some systems that are built to detect things that are happening both internally and externally. For example, they can detect changes. They can help you to process information and can help you to respond quickly to the stimulus, something that is initiating a probably like a receptor that is sending a message, a signal to you. So the system helps in communication, it helps in control, it helps to detect changes, it helps to process information, it helps to respond quickly, and we call it the effective cells. They keep the now one of you are used to network. I mean, what used to bounce. Now, let's say, for example, now the brain is we have different compartments in the nervous system. We still talk on that after the explanation. The brain is like the central computer, it's like the server and hub. We have the nerves. The nerves, they are like the wires or the cables that you use to power the computer or that you use to connect the computer to any other devices. While the messages that you are receiving from the computer, they are the electrical signals. So it simply means that in a nervous system, you have the central server. We call it the brain. That one is representing the computer. Please, are you together? We have some nerves. The nerves, for you to understand it, they are like the things that ensure connection. They are like the wires or the cables that you use to connect the system, your computer, to help your other devices or to power up your computer. And we have the messages. The messages, they are the electrical signals that transmit messages from the receptor phase to the effective cells. So all these things, they connect together. So these signals are what we call the nerve impulses. Please, do you get it up to that extent? So the nervous system is just like a compound thing that has many other things inside. Whenever you hear the word system, systems are made up of what? Remember, organs are made up of the same cells. Tissues are made up of tissues are made up of the same cell. Organ, same tissue. System, the same organs working together to perform the same function. That was what I taught you there. So same thing here. The nervous system is just a system that helps in communication and to control every network, every information, every changes that is happening in the body, both internally or externally. And it helps to give a quick response to it. For example, you touch a hot, this is hot, immediately the brain will receive it and the brain will tell you that, oh, drop it on the floor, quickly leave it on the fire. So that is how nervous system works. It takes in information, it will interpret the information, and it will tell you what to do. Drop it, do not drop it, still leave it, and all. That is it. So let me quickly talk about the specialized cells that we have before I give you the notes. We have different specialized cells. The first one I want to talk about is the neurons. The neurons. I'll still give you the note for all these things, but so the neurons are. You remember when I was talking about the nervous system, I said nervous system is made up of specialized cells called the neurons. We also call the neurons the nerve cells. What the nerve cells or the neurons, what it does is that they helps to receive, they helps to process and to send electrical messages in the body. And any messages that the neurons or the nerve cells are sending, we can call it the impulses. Please, are we together? The neuron helps to receive, they helps to process and to send electrical messages in the body. These messages are what we call the impulse. So you can say the neurons helps to receive, to process, and to send electrical impulses in the body. They help to receive impulses, they help to process the impulses, and they have to send all these impulses around the body. For example, like I was saying the other time, let's assume you touch a hot spot. There's a way you immediately remove your hand. Sometimes you can remove your hand after like 5 seconds. Sometimes you remove your hand after 3 seconds. Now, how does it happen? We want to relate it to coordination and control, especially using the neurons. If you touch a hot spot or probably hot plate, for example, the first thing that happens is that it is your skin that is in contact with that subject that is hot. It simply means your skin is the one that dictates the heat. Your skin dictated the heat, isn't it? So it simply means your skin is acting as an interface between every part of your body to that object. So if your skin did not touch the heat, you cannot be hurt or you cannot respond. So your skin dictates the heat. After your skin dictates the heat, the second thing that happens is that a neuron will now send a message to the brain. That brain will come, oh, I have detected something that is very hot. Oh, what should I do? Should I still hold it? Can I bear it? Should I drop it down? All these things happen in a very fast second. So sometimes you can, anytime you touch something and you drop it, you're not the one dropping it. Oh. If your neurons are not working well, for example, some mad people, they have faulty nervous system. They can touch hot subjects at some point and they can hold it for a few times. They can march on something very sharp and their skin will be bleeding and they will not feel the pain like that. Why? Because some systems are not working properly, especially the nervous system. It's not working properly in them again. So once your skin detects the heat or your hand, once it carries the pot, a neuron will send a message to the brain and asks the brain for permission. What should I do? Should I still drop the pot? Should I still hold the pot? The brain will not take the information. The brain will process the to you. So as you said, the signal, like the response to your question, should you drop the pot? Should I still hold it? There's something called the effector cells. The effector cells will now act. It is the cells that helps you to respond to what you ask your brain. So before you know it, you see your muscles, it will be moving your hand away from the pot or moving your hand away from the hot subject. They drop it, it's hot. So all these things, they happen less than a second. Sometimes it can happen 1 second. Sometimes it can happen between half a second and up. So that is just how it worked. I hope that is taken. Before we go to type of neuron, what are we talking about? Sensory neuron, motor neuron. I hope you understand the little thing that talks about systems of coordination. It talks about the nervous system and the nervous system. So the nervous system. Can you guys hear me? All right, thank you. So please, do you get? Can you still see my screen? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. So people are calling me. It's changed that. She should message me now. Hello, please. Are you with me? Okay, so hope you get the definition. Hope you get the explanation for the coordination and control already. Okay, so let us write a few things. Let's start with the coordination. The nervous system is made up of specialized cells. The nervous system is made up of specialized cells called neurons. The nervous system is made up of specialized cells called neurons. These neurons help to transmit impulses. Stop. The nervous system is made up of specialized cells called neurons. These neurons help to transmit impulses. Full stop. The nervous system is the communication and the control network of the body. The nervous system is the communication and the control network of the body. The nervous system is the communication and the control network of the body. What does this mean? It means that it helps the body to detect changes. It helps the body to detect changes. To process information and to respond accordingly.
So please can you come again?
Where the nervous system is the communication and the control network of the body. So it helps the body to detect changes. It helps the body to detect changes, to process the information, and to respond quickly. Like I said, there's a way in which if you touch, let's say you are playing with electricity, for example, and it shocked you, the nervous system will tell you, your brain will tell you not to go there again. There's a way in which when you touch it, within few seconds, when I say few, like it's not even up to half a second, and impulses will be sent, like a message will be sent from the receptor to travel to your CNS, your brain, especially. Your brain will take the message and will try to translate it. I say, you are playing with danger. So your brain, there's something we call defective cells. They will try to make the muscles in your hand to retract, to repel, only if the electricity does not really enter you very much. So there's a way in which you will try to go back. Your hand will just go back all of a sudden. So that is the nervous system. There's sometimes when you carry something very hot and you don't know when your hand leave that pot and you spoil everything. The soup that mommy just cooked, that she spent about 20,000 naira on the soup. As you carry the pot, it was very hot. So as it was hot, within a few milliseconds, an impulse is being transmitted to your brain. And your brain is telling you that, you are playing with fire. This thing is very hot. It can damage the cells in your hand. And if you don't have a high resilient factor, when we send another level of coordination, in which the muscles that is attaching your hand to the pot, they will become very loose. And before you know it, the muscles will leave the edge of the pot. And the next thing you see is that the pot is already on the floor. Sometimes it is not just you. You're not the one that is leaving the pot, but you don't have any choice. The pot, you just leave your hand from it. So that is what nervous system does. It helps to detect changes. The brain will process the information, and the brain will give you a response so that you can act accordingly. That is what happens. So everything we are talking about on the nervous system is how you are in contact with probably a stimuli, or how you are in contact with an external object that is creating a kind of stimulus, how the receptor cells are trying to send a message, transmit a message to your CNS, how the CNS is trying to process the message, how the CNS is trying to tell you how to act and how you are acting. So as you proceed, you will see how it happens. It also happens during childbirth also. There are so many times when the ladies here, when you want to give birth and they've given you this missionary, you always give birth in a missionary way. You will open your lap very wide because it will help your cervix to be more widened. I think we talked about that in the introduction. So as you widen it, the doctor will be telling you, can you what's the English here? Which English will I use? The Yoruba people now miss. If they say someone to me to, is it not breathe out or something? I don't know the English I can use there. So there's a way in which when you do that thing, your brain is taking note of that. And as your brain is taking note of that, your brain will release something like an hormone. It will rush back to your private part, because at that time they know that the major thing you needed is in that area. So as you are breathing, the brain is responding to it in order to make sure that the child is being delivered safely and all. So that is just how nervous coordination works generally. So, and I told you the other times that the signals that are transmitted, the signals that helps in connecting or processing information, we call them the nerve impulses. The signals, the electric signals that are acting as messages during this nervous coordination and all, we call them the nerve impulse. And let us quickly move to the neurons, the specialized cells, neurons. Let me give you a short note, and I will explain. We go to type of neurons. So the nervous systems, we want to check the specialized cells under the nervous systems. Number one, neurons. The nervous system is made of specialized cells called neurons. A neuron is a cell, that's the first thing you should write. A neuron is a cell that can receive, process. A neuron is a cell that can receive, process, and send electrical messages in the body. A neuron is a cell. A neuron is a cell that can receive, process, and send electrical messages in the body. These messages are called impulses, just like I've said. A neuron is a cell that can receive, that can process, and that can send electrical messages in the body. These messages are called impulses. So let's quickly move to type of neurons. So we have three types of neurons. We have the sensory neurons. Let me quickly explain the three types of neurons and how they are connected. We have the sensory neurons. We have the motor and the relay. So from the word, you should understand what they mean. When you see the word motor, you can see motor. These neurons, they will eventually help to carry instructions. Like they will carry the instructions from where it occurred to where it needs to be exerted. So let's take it one after the other. Let's start with the sensory neurons. I just want to explain, and I will use an example to explain so that you can get it easily. So when we talk about sensory neurons, these are the neurons that help to carry messages from the body to the CNS. They carry messages. They carry impulses from where? From where it occurred. If it occurred in your hand, if it occurred in your head, or anywhere it occurred, probably you use your leg to match or smash a very heavy object like a stone and all. Anywhere it occurs, there are neurons that helps to carry messages from the body to the brain or spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord is what we refer to as the central nervous system. I hope you still remember that. That is what the sensory neuron talks about. Let's say, for example, you are going, for example, while you are moving and you are walking, and the shoe you are wearing is not very thick, or probably you are wearing a slippers, and you step on or you smash your leg on a sharp stone, and that sharp stone pierce your skin, like the skin of your leg. There's a way in which there will be a pain. You feel a pain in your foot, and there's a receptor that is detecting the pain, and it's helping to detect the injury. So as the receptor detects these changes that just occurred, the sensory neurons will now send a message to the brain from that your foot. It will quickly travel down, like telling the brain like something has happened. Though. I have stepped on something. What should I do? There is no way you can create a response without anything reaching your brain first. No, because it will be looking as if you step your leg on a hot something, or probably you smash on your leg on a sharp object. You don't need the brain. Who told you? Any response you are giving as a living human being, your brain, your CNS, your nervous system is involved. So as the receptor was able to detect the stimulus, that is the work of receptor. It helps to detect these changes, the stimulus that is happening. Oh, this is an injury. Oh, this is an hot object. Oh, this is a very sharp object. Immediately, the sensory neurons will kick in. What did I say sensory neurons does? They will send a message. They will carry the message. They will take the message from that foot of your body. They will now send it to the brain. So the brain will now process the message, and the brain will now tell you what to do. So after when the brain processes the message, how does the brain send the message? That is where the motor neuron came in. Please, are you getting it? So the motor neurons, they are neurons that will now carry these messages or the instruction that the brain is giving. They will not carry it from the brain to either of the glands or the muscles. For example, if you are carrying a hot object, it will send the message. It will carry the message from the brain and tell your muscle, okay, this is what Mr. Brain asks you to do. This is what Mr. Brain asks you to do. Drop it, drop it, drop it. Some of you are very stubborn. You not drop it very fast. You still wait, I can do it, I can do it. Before you know it, you don't pour everything away. But the motor neurons, they are the ones that carry the instructions that the brain is giving. They will carry the instructions from the brain to your muscles or to your glands. So after when the brain has received the pain signal, as you march your leg on that stone, the brain will send a message. But before the brain send a message, the brain will diagnose the message. It will diagnose the message. It will try to interpret what is going on. And after interpreting it, the brain will send a message, something like, oh, you need to lift your foot away from the stone. Take your hand away from the hot pot or from the hot object. Immediately that occur, the motor neuron will now take the instruction and the instruction will be coded. The next thing you will do is that you see that you will quickly move your leg away from the stone, or probably you move your hand away from the hot object, or you move your foot away or anything. So anytime you give a response, it simply means the motor neuron has carried the instruction that your brain is telling you to do and is telling your glands or your muscle to do it. Is that taken? So to the last one, which is your relay neuron. So the relay neurons, they are the neurons that connect, they are like a connector. They connect the sensory neuron and the motor neuron inside the brain. They connect the sensory neuron inside. They connect the sensory neuron and the motor neuron in the CNS, because majority of the messages that you'll be getting is from the brain. But what they do simply is that they will connect the sensory neuron, and the motor neurons together. So they are acting like a connector, just like an interpreter. So the moment you dash your leg on an hot object, and the sensory neuron takes the message to the brain. So the relay neuron is acting like an interpreter, calling on the motor neurons to take the message to the glands or the to the muscles. So quickly, you can now put it like the sensory neuron is like the first neuron that will be in action when you dictate a change, as probably I want to respond to a stimulus. The first neuron that will be initiated is the sensory neuron. The next neuron that will be initiated is the relay neuron, because it will try to connect the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron is bringing the message and sending it to the brain. The motor neuron is taking the message, the instruction that the brain is giving, and taking it out to the effector cells. The effector cells includes the muscles, the glands, just like I've said. So the relay neurons is looking like a connector, like it's connecting both the sensory neuron and the motor neuron together. I hope that is taken. So let me quickly, please, is that taken? Let me quickly give you a short note on that before we move into another thing. So have you written down anything on that sensory neuron? So the sensory neurons is the first neuron after a stimulus has been detected. These neurons helps to carry messages from the body to the brain or spinal cord. These neurons helps to carry messages from the body to the brain or spinal cord. So let's go to the relay neurons. We call them the interneurons. The relay neurons. These neurons connect sensory neurons and motor neurons. They connect the sensory neurons and the motor neurons. So they act like a middleman, like an interpreter, like that. And the last one, which is the motor neurons. The motor neurons, they are the neurons that helps to carry instructions. They helps to carry instructions from the brain to the effector cells. They are the neurons that helps to carry instructions from the brain to the effector cells, like the muscles, the glands, and all. Let's say, for example, somebody threw a pillow at you or something very big. So as the person threw the pillow at you, the first thing that you will see, if you not know that the person is throwing a pillow, is that your eye is acting as a receptor, because it will be the one to detect what is being thrown, isn't it? As your eye is detecting what is being thrown, what happens immediately is that the sensory neuron will send message to the brain. So as the object is coming towards you, the sensory neuron will quickly send a message to the brain. And after sending a message to the brain will quickly process what's being sent, to process the information that they are doing something at me now. What should I do? So the brain will interpret that what they are throwing is not heavy. Just take. It is very soft. And let's assume that the stuff is an heavy stuff. The brain will tell you that I don't think you have the head to take this object that is being thrown at you. Bend your head. Fall on the floor. Dodge, or use your hand to block the heavy object. So immediately the brain processes the information, the brain will now send a command. So there are two things that the brain will do. Once the sensory neuron sends a message to the brain, it will first process the information, and the next thing it will do is to send a command, that a response that you need to do or you need to give to that thing. So immediately the motor neuron, the relay neuron will quickly connect to the motor neuron. Say, this is what the brain is asking you to do. So the motor neurons will activate a response. For example, it can activate the hand muscles. So it will tell your hand, oh yeah, put a guiding. Guide what is being thrown at you, And before you know it, you quickly raise your hand to guide. After it happens, you're like, why do I even guide? You never knew that it's your brain that is actually coordinating you at that particular time. That sometimes some things will happen. Maybe house is burning. You just see that you just jump one lofty place. You just find yourself on the floor. You're like, how did I even jump? Is your eye, your brain, your eye, your nose, your skin is sensing that, hey, with the rate this house is burning, if we don't do the needful, you yourself, you may get burnt. And the moment your eye detects this evil or bad signal, your brain quickly processes it. And your brain was like, oh, you need to act fast. Can you jump? Can you jump? Oh, yeah, jump. All these things happens within 1 second. Like I said, before you know it, you just create a swift response and you just jump. And after jumping, like, how do I even jump? And how? So the brain will process the information. The brain will send the command. After processing it, the brain will always give a command. Either you should stay, either you should wait. It can be like, well, you can still wait. You can still stay. You need to run away now. You need to do this, you need to do that. So that is what the brain does. So after the brain processing the information, after it receives the information, it will process the information. After it processes the information, it will now send a command. After sending a command, the motor neuron will now pick the command and take it to the effector cells. The effector cell is dependent on what is happening at that time. If it is that, let's say, for example, somebody threw a ball at you, and your brain can activate your leg muscles to move backward a little bit so that you can stop the ball. Your brain, let's say somebody throw a big object at you, like a big pillow. Your brain can tell you that, don't worry, it is very soft. Just put your head there. And before you know it, you use your head to stop the pillow. This one is small now. My head too is thick. I mean, to have big head now. But let's assume that it's a very big object, like a very big object, like a stone. You just look at the next thing that will be running through your head is that, dodge. Before you know, you don't dodge. Dodge the heavy object. So the motor neuron will take the information that is being processed by the brain, and it will receive the command, then send the command to the effector cells. And for example, for dodging the stone now, the leg muscles will be activated. The motor neuron will activate the leg muscle in order to run away or hide behind something so that the stone will not eat you. So all of these things happens very quickly. And before you know it, you give a response. There's always a stimulus and the start the stimulus, the receptor cells, and end the effector cells, which is the response. I hope that is taken. Everybody, you can see how it works. And sometimes it may not be like the eye, it may not be like the skin having a contact with the sharp object. It can even be the nose or the sense of organs can work. They work with the nervous system. For example, let's say mommy is cooking soup, and you detect a very good smell. Maybe how will I put this now? There's a way maybe you just finish your exam, and before you get back, you are so tired. And as you're entering the sitting room, you just notice that something is smelling. A very good smell. So your notes detect the smell. As your note detect the smell, the sensory neuron will take the smell and it will send the signal to the brain. Okay, is it a good smell? And your brain will take it. Okay, this is a good smell. Oh. So the brain will interpret it. And if you interpret it, it may be that what you are smelling is the smell of a food. If it is smell of feces, the brain will say what you are smelling is a bad smell. If it is the smell of a perfume, if it is what you are smelling, if it is smelling of a fish, the brain will take the message and it will interpret it. And after interpreting it, the brain will send signal. The motor neuron will take it. You can send signal to, let's say, for example, the effector cell there will be maybe your salivary gland. And before you know it, your mouth will begin to salivate. That is, your mouth will begin to produce saliva. Before you know it, you are feeling hungry and you are salivating for the food already. That is how it just happened. From the receptor cells to the sensory neurons taking the message, take it to the brain taking the message, interpreting it or processing it. After processing it, you interpret it, and it will send a command to the motor neuron. The motor neuron will send it to the effector cells, be it the muscles or the glands. The glands will take it and it will produce the necessary response. Oh, this is a very good smell. And before you know it, you'll be secreting some saliva. And as you speak saliva, be like, Mommy, I'm hungry, I want to eat. And all. So that is that on that. So let's quickly look at structure of a neuron. Let me see if I can get a diagram for that. See, I hope you guys understand everything under neuron for now. Okay, I think I see a diagram there. Gibbs, are you still there? Oh, should we watch the video again? because she was actually on my neck. She explained this again and again, and now she's unavailable. So let me just quickly explain this, and I'll give you a short note on that. This is the structure of the neuron, and I will use it to explain how different part of the neurons, how they work together, and the specific function. Let's start with the dendrites here. You need to pay attention to this diagram and find a way you can master it yourself. Find a way you can master it in case they ask you to identify any part or the pointed and arrow to a part, and they ask you to say the function of the part that was identified in the diagram. So look at it there. You can see the nucleus, the center body there. So the circular part is just the nucleus. The cell body, the dendrites, the axon terminal, and the synapse, and the myelin sheath. So let's start with the dendrites. The dendrites, you can see like they have all this branch-like structure, this branch-like extension around the cell body. So anytime you see something like a branch-like structure around the cell body, it is referred to as the dendrite. Is that taken? And what this dendrite does is that they helps to receive signals from receptors. So they are the one that is taking the signals. I know I told you what receptors are. Receptors are the one that helps to detect stimulus, like your eyes, like your skin, like your ear. Sometimes you hear a sound, ooh, like, what is that? So as you hear the sound, your ear receives the signal. The sensory neurons will take what you receive, take it to the brain. The brain will take the message, interpret it, and send a command. Oh, that is the sound of a lion. If you like, off your shoe, off your sandal, put it in your hand, start running. And before you know it, you start running. So that is how coordination works. So this dendrite is like it's like a receptor. Let me just that helps to receive signals. Is that taken? They can carry the signals. They will carry the signals toward the cell body. There, the cell body also we can call it the soma. SOMA. So the dendrites, they helps to receive signals. They receive signals. So after receiving signals, they will send these signals. They will send it to this cell body. They carry the signal to the cell body. So let's say, for example, now you carry a hot object. As you carry a hot object, it is the dendrite that receive the pain signal. Oh, this is hot. And before you know it, it's connected to the cell body. So the cell body is just, from the word cell body, is the main part of the neuron. And it contains other organelles. It contains the cytoplasm, it contains the nucleus, it contains other organelles. It is the main part of the neuron. And what it does is that the cell body helps to process the signals that the dendrite sends to the cell body. Is that taken? So as the dendrite receives the signal, and we said it carries the signal towards the cell body, it carries it towards the cell body. So the cell body will receive this signal and it will process the incoming signals that is coming from the dendrite. Hope that is taken. So the next thing is the nucleus. Please, do you get what the dendrite and the cell body does? Please, how many of us are in the call? Let me even check. 4 billion. Suzanne. Princess. Princess, I'm just seeing you for the first time. Okay, so the dendrites, they receive the signal, they transmit the signal to the cell body. The cell body, they take the signals, they process the signals that they receive from the dendrite. And the nucleus, they are located inside the cell body. So these three things, they are connected. You can see the nucleus, they are located inside the body. And what it does is that you understand what the nucleus does in a cell. They help to control the activity of the cell. But for the neuron now, they controls the activities of the neuron. They controls the activities of the neuron. And that thing they does is that they contains the genetic material. So that's the nucleus. They contains, because inside the nucleus we have the nucleus, we have the DNA and all. So they contains the genetic material and all. So it's just the controls they are the one that controls the activities of everything that is happening in the neuron. That is the nucleus. So it controls what the neuron does. And all. The next thing is the axon here, the axon. Here. The axon from here is a very long fiber. And they are extended from the cell body. That is the axon. What the axon does is that it will carry the nerve impulses that the cell body received here and that process. So I said that after when the dendrite receives signals, they will send it to the cell body. The cell body will receive the signals and they will process the signals. After processing the signals, this axon here, this guy here, they will carry the nerve impulses away from the cell body to other neuron. They can carry it to other muscles, they can carry it to other glands and all. That's what the axon does. They carry the nerve impulses away from the cell body. And after the axon, we have the myelin sheet. Myelin sheet is just like a coating system. It's like an insulated covering that is used to cover some places around the axon. Just like probably like you sellotape or you sellotape some regions in the axon. So the myelin sheet is just like an insulating covering, an insulating material that helps to cover or clothe the axon. And what it actually does is that it helps to protect the axon, number one, and it also helps to speed up the transmission of the nerve impulses. It helps to protect, and number two, it can also help to speed up the transmission of the nerve impulses that the axon guy carries away from the cell body. So that is how it works. And the last one, the second to the last, the axon terminal. It is like the branch ending part of the axon, as the dendrite is a branch and the branch part of the cell body. The axon terminal is the branch ending part of the axon. And what it does is that it helps to release chemical messages. We call them neurotransmitters, these chemical messages. And they can also pass the nerve signal to another neuron also, this axon terminal here. And the last one, which is the synapse. The synapse is what it does is that it helps to permit communication between neurons that is using chemical signals. So nerve impulses cannot jump directly. So they can only cross this gap using the neurotransmitters. And that is why the axon terminals and the nerve synapse, they are intertwined, they are connected to each other. So the synapse, they are like a small gap between one neuron and another neuron. So it is this region that two neurons can join together. So the gap that is there, these synapses can ensure proper communication between one neuron and another neuron. For example, now we can duplicate this diagram of the neuron here, and we can do a tail-to-tail connection. That is, if we duplicate this diagram, we can rotate it and connect the tail to one another to form different neurons. Is that okay? So that is what synapse does. It helps to allow communication between neurons using chemical signals. How that is taken? Hope you understand that to some extent. So let me see the notes that we have here. Okay, this is structure of a neuron. This one did not give you the other part, but let us just write the parts. I believe you floated down. They said a neuron has three main parts. A neuron has three main parts. Number one, dendrite. Number one, dendrite. So dendrite helps to receive messages from other neurons. Dendrite helps to receive signals. It said it helps to receive messages or signals from other neurons. The cell body, you can actually judge from what I've explained. I'm just giving you the definition from the textbook. There, the cell body is a control center of the neuron. Said it is a control center. That is not totally true. The cell body contains nucleus. Nucleus is the control center of the neuron because it is present in the cell body. However, the cell body helps to receive the signal that the dendrite guys send, and it also helps to process the signal also. Or the cell body is the main part of the neuron. The major portion of the cell body is that it helps to process the signal that is being sent by the dendrite. And it contains nucleus, which helps to control the activities of the neuron. I hope that is taken. So you can make that better in your notes. The axon carries the messages away from the cell body the axon carries the messages away from the cell body to another neuron or muscle. So heavy on that thing, the myelin sheets, the axon terminals, the synapse, the nucleus. You can just jot it down as I've explained. So just check this. You can screenshot it. This is the anatomy of the nervous system. It is included in your exam syllabus. So you can do well to pay attention to there's no time. We cannot be checking all the plexus. Actually, this would be more explained for those that are going to anatomy, nursing, or biochemistry, medicine. You do the anatomy of the nervous system. I don't know why JAMB included this, but they don't ask actually. But in the case they ask, just look at it's actually somehow tedious for you to understand at the moment. You can just call your attention to it. So after that, let's go to the divisions of the nervous system. Let's go to the central nervous systems and the peripheral nervous system. Are you don't paying attention to the diagram? I want us to move to the part of the nervous systems. Then we check a few questions on it. And we continue. Okay, you are done, Lillian. Okay, so let's move on. So the divisions of the nervous system. So the nervous system is actually divided into two main parts, the CNS and the PNS, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So that is what the central nervous system, the nervous system is divided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord. Just think of it this way. The CNS is just like the control center. Why the PNS, the peripheral nervous system, is a network of communication that connects the whole body. The CNS is just like the head, like the headquarter, the main control center. Why the other one is just like a connecting cables and all. So under peripheral nervous system, we have the spinal nerves, we have the cranial nerves, and all. So these are the things we want to check at the moment. Let's quickly check the first one, which is the central nervous system, the CNS. Like we said, it is the main control nervous, it is the main control center of the body. It is responsible for different functions, for receiving information, for processing information, for sending instructions to the body. That's the function of the central nervous system. And we said that it consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So let's quickly check the brain. Under the central nervous system. Let's check the brain. The brain has many functions, and we know where the brain is located to, right? Everybody knows where the brain is located to. It's located inside the skull. The skull helps to house the brain so that can give you this protection. It helps to cover the brain. And brain actually controls almost all body activities that is going on in the body. We have major function of the brain. You know, we have different parts of the brain also. I don't know. Let me check if it's in this syllabus so that we can check the different parts of the brain. But the brain helps to perform different functions. Like it helps to control some voluntary actions. It helps to control involuntary actions. It helps in controlling different things like the breathing rates and all. The voluntary actions, they are the actions you can decide, like walking, like writing, like talking, like playing football, like dancing, like eating and all. So it's the brain that controls that one also. The involuntary actions, the ones that works without your conscious thinking. For example, your heart beating. I think heart beats about 76 times per minute or something. I think 76, 72. So your heart beating, your breathing, your digestion, that one is involuntary. This is the brain that also controls that. The blinking of your eye, the jerking of your leg, sometimes the swinging of your hands, depending on the deliberability. Your brain also helps to control these involuntary actions. It also helps to process sensory informations. All the organs that can detect stimulus, the brain helps to process it, like the eyes, like the ears, like the nose, like the skin, like the tongue. You know, the eyes is for sight, the ears is for hearing, the tongue for tasting, the nose for smelling, the skin for touch. So the brain also helps to process it. So it is through these things that we have a nervous system of coordination, because once a receptor can detect a stimulus through all these sensory organs, the sensory neuron, like we said, to take it to the brain. So the brain helps to process all this sensory information and every other thing, depending on the part of brain. It's not hypothalamus that helps regulate the body temperature. There are other functions of the part of the brain. For example, the thinking and the intelligence, the cerebrum. So the brain also helps to in thinking and all. So that's just all about the brain. Let me see if you have a notes here under the I didn't give you notes under this and comment. So Lillian, have we checked the brain before? That we check the part of the brain, the medulla oblongata, the hypothalamus, cerebellum, and all. Have we checked it before? Lillian, are you there?
Sorry, I don't get your question.
So have we checked the first class?
No, I don't think.
That's serious. Okay, I think I'll work on that in the next class. We'll check it. So let's quickly go to spinal cord and the PNS. This textbook did not give a proper explanation on brain. So let's quickly move to the PNS, the peripheral nerve, the spinal cord first. Before we move to the peripheral nervous system. So the spinal cord is an extension from the brain. They are connected to the brain down to the backbone. It's just like a very long bundle of nerves that is connected to your brain, and they are extended towards the back of your body, the backbone, and it is protected by the backbone. The backbone is what we refer to as the vertebral column. So it is protected by the vertebral column, the backbone there. So there are different functions of the spinal cord in nervous system coordination. They can help to transmit messages also between the brain and the body, and they can act like a communication highway where messages, just like a cascade pathway, where messages is starting and how it's being extended from the brain to the body that needs it, that needs some information. So that's what the spinal cord does. So for example, now, just like the brain was, let's say you touch a hot object also, the message can travel from the skin to the spinal cord to the brain. Or you touch a hot or a cold object, the message can travel from your hand. Your hand is, the skin is the receptor. Oh, Suzanne, I'm coming, please. The skin is the receptor, like that is dictating the stimulus. So the message will travel from the skin to the spinal cord back to the brain, and the brain will now respond. So the spinal cord is acting as a communication highway from your receptor as a connector bundle to the brain. So as the brain responded, you'll be able to give the needed response that the brain wants you to do. Oh. So the spinal cord, I didn't give any definition. I'm just trying to explain what the spinal cord is. I said spinal cord is like an extension from the brain down the backbone, the vertebral column in the back. I said they have this packed up cylindrical bundle of nerves that is connected that is what I said there. So another functions the spinal cord can do is that they can also control reflex actions. The reflex actions is the next topic that we go. The next subtopic. And nervous system and reflex actions, they are intertwined, like automatic response that it has been the default system that once you do this, so this is how you should respond. That sometimes if someone wants to put pumps in contact with the hand, that is a reflex action. So the spinal cord also helps to control the reflex actions. So that is another function the spinal cord does. And lastly, let me quickly explain what PNS means, the peripheral nervous systems. Like I said, they contains or they consist of all the nerves that is outside the brain and spinal cord. That is what the PNS, the peripheral nervous system, contains. So what it does basically is that it connects the central nervous system to the rest of the body. It connects the central nervous system to the rest of the body. So the peripheral nervous system can also carry information to the CNS, and it can also carry instructions away from the CNS. You get it? they can carry information themselves. When we say they contain nerves, all nerves outside the brain and the spinal cord are referred to as the peripheral nervous system. That they are found in the peripheral nervous system as a whole. So the peripheral nervous system, they contain all nerves outside the brain and the spinal cord. So they can carry information themselves because electrical signals with nerves, like the message can be transmitted to the CNS, either the brain or the spinal cord. So this PNS, since they have nerves, they can also carry information to the CNS, and they can carry instructions from the CNS also. So we have basically two types of PNS, the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. When you hear the word cranial nerves, they are nerves that originate naturally directly from the brain. And we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. In case they ask you, they are nerves that originate directly from the brain. And humans have 12 pairs of cranial nerves, in case they ask you. So that's about cranial nerves. For example, the optic nerve. Optic nerve is in the information from the eyes to the brain so that you can see. We have the olfactory nerves. Let me just give you notes on these things so that you'll be able to write things down. Where did I start explaining? I hope you're able to get everything on CNS. So let's just move to PNS, the peripheral nervous system. So in the next class, I will do a class for an hour and we will check a full jump year question. Maybe we can pick 2021 or 2020 or 2022 or 2023. Anyway, we can check two. So we solve the questions together in the other part of the class. So the first part of the class is just a revision. Within 40 minutes, an hour at most, we are done for the revision. And the other 50% of the class, we use it to treat questions. We just download a full past question in biology. So a specific year, maybe we can download like 2 years. So we check them. So it should be done like 20 minutes for each year. So the PNS consists, the peripheral nervous system consists of all nerves outside the brain and the spinal cord. Full stop. It consists of all nerves consists of all nerves outside the brain and spinal cord. Full stop. It connects the CNS to the rest of the body. It connects the CNS to the rest of the body. It connects the CNS. Where's the body? Okay. It connects the CNS to the rest of the body. The PNS includes number one, cranial nerves. Cranial. The cranial nerves, see how a hen had here. It includes the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. So another line, the cranial nerves. The cranial nerves are nerves. The cranial nerves are nerves that originates directly from the brain. The cranial nerves are nerves that originate directly from the brain. Humans have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Humans have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. So I think I gave example of the cranial nerves, the optic nerve, the olfactory nerve, the facial nerves, and all. But so some people they just like frowning. Some people they like smiling. Some people they like blinking. I don't know which one where you belong to. So either of the theory or either of your facial expressions, it is being controlled by your facial nerve. Is that taken? If you like smiling, that means that is a control of facial expression by your facial nerve. Some people, no matter how much you beg them, they will not smile. The second part of the PNS, the spinal nerves. The spinal nerves, they are nerves that arise from the spinal cord. The spinal nerves are nerves that arise from the spinal cord. Humans have 31 pairs of spinal cord. So do you see the difference between the numbers of the spinal of the nerves for the cranial and the spinal? Spinal nerves are nerves that arise from the spinal cord. Humans have 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So what the spinal nerves does is that it connects the spinal cord to other organs. For example, they can connect the spinal cord to the arms, to the legs, and other parts. And that's why if you see someone that is that has this what's it called? The name of these people that cannot walk. When this atherosclerosis, what's it called now? That old people always have stroke. So the spinal cord, the spinal nerves are so weak and they cannot connect properly to some vital organs, probably the leg, the nerve stairs are not there again, or they're not functioning again. So they become weak. They cannot move again. And the spinal nerves, they can help to carry both sensory impulses to the CNS and motor impulses also away from the CNS. So that is all about the spinal nerves. They can carry sensory impulse to the CNS and motor neurons from the CNS. Let me look at some questions online. Let's see if we can see some questions. (1985). This question is they said the mammalian endocrine system is responsible for what? Can you guys say A, transmitting impulse, B, regulating body temperature, C, regulating osmotic pressure of the blood, D, chemical coordination, E, the manufacture of blood? Anybody? Anybody? Paul, are you there? Lillian, are you there? Suzanne? Ah, can you guys hear me? You're not answering the question. What's the function of the mammalian endocrine system? I'm not teaching endocrine system. Yeah. I said mammalian endocrine system is responsible for what? A, transmitting impulse. B, regulating body temperature. C, regulating osmotic pressure of blood. D, chemical coordination. E, manufacture of blood. That's the question now. Didn't answer me now. Suzanne, oh. Don't you guys know it?
Sorry, repeat the options again.
Transmitting impulse. Although we've started the first part. The next part is the endocrine system. But with what I've taught you today, you should be able to know. The first two theory is talking about the first is talking about the nervous system. Transmitting impulse, regulating body temperature is a function of the brain. That's hypothalamus. Regulating osmotic pressure of blood. So the answer is chemical coordination. That's the function of the endocrine system. I said endocrine systems are also known as the hormonal system. That was the first thing I said in the class. I said they consist of glands that can produce and release hormones directly into the bloodstream. And these hormones act as chemical messengers that can help to coordinate activities across different organs in the body. So it's chemical coordination. That's the function of the endocrine system. So let me check for another question on my screen. In mammals, this is JAMB 1985 again. Stimulus is transferred from the receptor muscles to the central nervous system through the dash. Let me come again. In mammals, stimulus is transferred from the receptor muscles to the central nervous system through the dash. A, motor neurons. B, effector muscles. C, dendrites. D, sensory neurons. E, synapses.
Motor neurons.
Motor neurons. So, you said motor neurons is, they asked the question that stimulus is transferred from the receptor muscles to the central nervous system. Receptor. Those are the test stimulus. Lillian, now if I beat you now, you said I'm not nice again. And then I said the first neuron that acts.
Sensory.
Okay. A sensory now. And now, Lillian, that's the first receptor after the stimulus has been detected. It is the receptor, it is the sensory neuron that will transfer the information or direct the message to the brain. That was the first thing I said now. Motor neuron is one that takes the information from the command center, which is the brain, and to take it back to the effector cells, be it the gland or the muscles. Please, do you get it? Let me look for another question. They said sense of smell is by dash. A, olfactory lobe. B, cerebellum. C, cerebrum. D, hypothalamus. And this one is straightforward. I believe everybody knows that, right?
Tell us.
Ah, you guys are not serious. Sense of smell that I was talking about, different sounds. I was talking about the optic nerve, the olfactory nerve, I know. Like most of it is half-clean. Oh, I've not teach you brain. I'm seeing a question on brain that they are saying the voluntary activities of the body are all this is under brain. I think I have to teach you in the next class. They also asked a question here. They said 2001 term question. In mammals, the brain center which regulate the body temperature is situated in. I think I explained that during explanation, isn't it? Who can tell me the answer?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Sir, we are not hearing you very well. Please talk loud.
I said I saw a question now, though it is not yet what I've taught, but I explained it in the class. I said in mammals, that's a 2001 question. They said in mammals, the brain center which regulates the body temperature is situated in what? Them in mammals, the brain center which regulates body temperature is situated where? A, cerebellum, B, cerebrum, C, hypothalamus, D, medulla oblongata.
Hypothalamus.
It's hypothalamus now. So,
Sir, medulla oblongata.
what do you say?
Medulla oblongata.
What happens to it? What happened to medulla oblongata? Who is that? Is that you asking a question or what? Okay, answer the question. No, it's hypothalamus now. It is the medulla oblongata that controls all these involuntary actions, like your breathing, your heartbeats. All those things are controlled by your medulla oblongata. All the reflexes, like your blood pressure, like you coughing and all. Hypothalamus controls your body temperature. How that is taken? Suzanne. Okay. Let me look for more questions, please. The next class, please be ready for different you can look for a jam question that is hard, maybe a jam here. But I think my mind is going to 2022, 2023, or 2021, 2020. I think you guys will have some in that year. You guys will have some questions there. I've not chewed this actually, so let me ask. They're asking the part of the brain that is responsible for balance. I will teach you in the next class. So you don't need to have. I mean, for the ones that we touched. They said,
Sir, is it cerebrum?
I'm not answering. We've not even gotten to hormone. Okay. Which gland is referred to as a master gland? I think I taught you this before. But it's also under, that's the pituitary gland.
Gland.
Yeah. They asked a question on hormone also, 2018. Said the hormone that regulates blood sugar level is what? We will do hormone in the next class. What is the hormone that regulates blood sugar level? Nobody. You guys deserve Kano. You don't know the hormone that regulates your blood sugar level. How of you want to be a medical student? Hmm?
Insulin.
Yeah, that's insulin. The transmission of nerve impulses across a synapse is what? Transmission of nerve impulse. That's exam 2012. Transmission of nerve impulses across a synapse is A, electrical, B, mechanical, C, chemical, D, thermal. This question will come out in your exam.
Chemical.
You see, it's chemical. So it is only linear that is available today. Oh, all this one I will not teach you. This one is responses. Shivering helps mama to do what? A, lose it. B, gain it. C, remove sweat. D, increase blood pressure. That's 2013. When you are shivering, what does it do for you? Lose it, gain it, remove sweat, increase blood pressure.
Reduce heat.
Shivering helps you to reduce weight. You are shivering because you are cold. Is it not that you gain it? Lillian, I will beat you. Hmm? All right now. So it is to gain it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go for maybe 2 more questions. Is Princess still there? Why? Sorry, I'm coming. Did you follow her? For me, do you want me? Just 2 minutes. Princess, are you there? Okay, no problem. This second, please. Yeah. All right. The part of the brain responsible. Okay, we talked about that one. It's similar. In the nervous system, okay. This one is okay. In the nervous system, impulses are transmitted away from the cell body through the dash. A, dendrites. B, axon. C, synapse.
Axon.
D, nucleus.
Axon.
Eh?
Axon.
Axon. Who is that Lillian?
Yes, it's Lillian.
I
Lillian.
say,
Oh, you are following my hand today. Which of the following neurons carries impulses from receptors to the central nervous system? A, motor. B, sensory. C, neuron. D, relay.
sensory neuron.
The junction between two neurons
Motor.
called dash.
Motor.
The junction
Synapse.
between two neurons.
Okay.
Eh?
Synapse.
The junction between two neurons
Synapse.
where nerve impulses are transmitted chemically is called the dash. A,
Synapse.
dendrite. B, synapse. C, axon. D, nucleus. Okay, synapse.
Okay, synapse.
Reflex actions are mainly controlled by the dash. I think I explained that.
Cerebellum.
Reflex actions are
Cerebellum.
controlled by the dash. A, cerebrum. B, spinal cord. C, cerebellum. D, hypothalamus.
Cerebellum.
Cerebellum. Cerebellum.
Cerebellum. What's the function of cerebellum?
It controls involuntary action.
It controls involuntary action. What is it?
Yes, sir, it controls reflex action for
Controls reflex actions.
muscular
What about it?
muscular activity. Sir?
What about your spinal cord and medulla oblongata?
The medicine that controls involuntary actions.
Because what cerebellum controls majorly is balance. It controls your muscles, coordination of muscles, like your supporting systems, your supporting structures.
Spinal cord.
Yeah. So,
Spinal
Lillian,
cord.
you two, you follow Paul. Paul is your boyfriend. Like, if I catch you,
Excuse me.
yeah. Why did you not say cerebellum? Why did you say cerebellum? Don't worry, I will give you the part of the brain and how it works in the next class. Let me see another question. Yeah, you are right, Susan. Let me just look for one more two questions. Okay, this one is simple. Everybody will know this one. The protective covering around the axon that speeds up nerve impulse transmission is the what?
Myelin sheath.
Myelin sheath.
Okay. The last question for today. Okay, which of the following is a function of the PNS, the peripheral nervous system? Interpretation of stimuli, coordination of voluntary movement, transmission of impulses between the CNS and the body organs, storage of information.
Can you come?
Yeah?
Sir, can you come again with questions?
Which of the following is a function of the PNS? A.
Okay.
Interpretation of stimuli. B. Coordination of voluntary movement. C. Transmission of impulses between the CNS and body organs. D. Storage of information.
Sir, C.
Yeah?
C.
Yeah, transmission of impulses between the CNS and body organs. That is perfectly right. Lillian, do you concur or you oppose your today boyfriend? You support. Okay. That's good. So, this is what we do. You can just post any jam questions. Maybe we should check 2021 or 2022 or the two together in the next class. Stephanie, so I will proceed to the other parts of this topic in the next class, and I'll quickly take a review on cell division, if possible. Then we will solve jam pass questions together. Is that okay? Like I said, I will miss you guys. We are progressing slowly to the end of the tutorial already. If you need anything, always reach out to me. Suzanne, if there's anything you need, I can send you 30-minute voice notes to explain. And also anybody, if you like voice notes, I can explain. That would be in the middle of the night. All right, take care. Have a good night rest and enjoy your day. Bye-bye. Thank you, Paul. Me and Lillian, you are giving thumb up. That thumb, Namiko Potter. Yeah, thank you. Suzanne, you are saying bye. You cannot send love emoji to me. You're telling me bye. I love you. Take care of yourself. Only Suzanne, don't take. Okay, Suzanne, I'll send it. I pardon you. Okay, now, bye-bye now. Yeah, we'll meet again tomorrow.